Yeah, for sure. We saw that with the Anthony Joshua fight before. And as you said, I'm sure it's something that Joe is prepared for.
Joshua, taller, you can see reach advantage, not as much as you might imagine. Takam with very long arms himself. Both of them looking in superb shape. Joyce, who came to the game late, started as an amateur when he was 22 years old, having been a decent schoolboy rugby player, a good athlete. And still, as he said in that interview prior to this contest which you were hearing, he thinks he's not got too many miles on the clock, and certainly Takam has been around the block an awful lot longer.
Joe's not the quickest, but he's very unpredictable with his rhythm. We saw that in the Daniel Dubois fight, but he's got to be careful of exactly that, jabbing. Sometimes when Joe leads with a jab, that back foot can lift up as he steps in with a jab. It's something, as we said before, having a height disadvantage can be an advantage, and we saw that there.
He has got a tremendous chin, Joe Joyce, but I'm sure he'd rather not prove that. He doesn't want to be taking those big overhand rights from Takam, which is a little bit of a trademark punch. Ironically, it was that punch which finished him off against Derek Chisora.
Derek Chisora established a hell of a lot and invested a lot into the body of Takam before bringing the head over. Takam loves to counter left hook. Derek Chisora read that, showed him downstairs, pulled the hook out of Takam and pulled the right hand over the top. Something Joe's just got to be careful of is, as I say, stepping in with that jab, Takam getting underneath it and bowling the right hand over the top of it.
Joyce, as we know, though, has such a good engine. He will keep coming, and that left-hand lead is real quality. And I've spoken to a lot of people around the sport, and I know that the big lads all really rate him, and they say that he would be a handful for anybody, and they mean by that anybody.
He certainly will be, and that down the stretch will definitely be a factor for Takam. You can see what Takam's looking for, that right hand over the top of Joe's jab. So it's important Joe keeps changing the rhythm up, changing the distance up, and maybe toy it out there knowing Takam's going to bite on it and make him pay for stepping in with the overhand right.
Well, Takam's landed a couple of those punches, but for the most part, this opening round, which hasn't begun too dynamically, has been dominated by the left-hand lead of Joyce. It's that right hand again, though, from Takam. That's, I think, the third time that he's landed with that sneak right hand over the top that Ben's been talking about. And another one, shake of the head from Joyce, but he's taking maybe just a few too many of those. There's another. Takam lands yet again in the closing seconds of the opening round. Welcome back to our main event, Joe Joyce against Carlos Takam, and anxious moments in the closing seconds of that opening round when he was repeatedly caught by big right hands from Takam.
Yeah, way too getting hit too often there with the same shot. Joyce needs to change it up, needs to vary that lead hand up, unpredictable rhythm and some feints in between to throw Takam time enough.
Well, we said that was the danger punch from Takam, and he landed enough to certainly make it an argument that he might have won that opening round.
Yeah, I think Takam may have, there's a shout to give him that opening round because, the damaging shots and the more clear shots definitely came from Takam there.
Joyce will want to try and establish a dominance. He has got that phenomenal chin, though, as he showed also in that last fight against Daniel Dubois. He doesn't want to be displaying it too much. Early stages as well.
When someone's consistently throwing back when you throw, sometimes it's safer to shoot and smother, and especially Joe being such a big guy and being able to tower over Takam, it was a tactic that Klitschko often used. Sometimes get your shot off, smother, use your weight and be physical with the opponent on top of him.
Joyce, plenty to think about right now is Carlos Takam. Holding and weaving effectively and varying his attack.
Better timing then for Joe, better timing.
Turn from Takam to the body, looked as though it was a little bit low to me. And another one. It's under the watchful eye of referee Steve Gray, though, who was happy that there was nothing wrong with it.
A little bit methodical with that lead hand at the minute, Joe. Would like to see him feint a little bit more.
Spatter. Working away behind that jab as he did so effectively in his last fight. Body shots from Takam. And a right hand again over the top of the cut. Oh, his corner are getting excited about this. They feel he's made a really good start to this fight. Joe Joyce only too happy though to go toe to toe.
Yeah, a few of those have been caught on the arms. You know, they're getting excited. You know, a few are getting through, but there's a few that Joe's blocking there and they're screaming for as well.
Work again, a few whoos and ahs from the crowd as Takam lands. A couple of those big right hands over the top and another. Joyce having to walk through some real heavy shots. Well, you'll have your own opinions sitting at home watching as we are doing, but some of these big shots from Takam are really landing and thudding home, and there's another sizable argument there that Takam did enough to win the round.
Yeah, certainly there's a shout for that. I do think that he will struggle to keep this pace. He's putting a lot of effort into these shots. Whether he can sustain that, I'm not too sure, but, you know, I know Joe's got a great chin, but you can't keep taking shots like that as a heavyweight.
Well, they're going to have a cumulative effect, aren't they?
For sure.
And the Joyce supporters are just a wee bit quiet at the moment. The only real noise has been coming from the Takam corner.
Joe's taller and longer. He could potentially bend his back knee, sit his weight back a little bit, take away the height difference, but still keep the reach and length. Rather than standing up tall, allowing Takam to take his headline, bowl him over the top bit like that.
Is there a danger that Joe's just been a little bit over keen to project the idea that he was going to make a statement here and show that he was going to finish him and win more effectively than Anthony Joshua did, and that he's therefore ready to step up that level? Is that a point?
A fantastic body shot there from Joe Joyce. It certainly is that. If that is the case, you'd have to ask Joe Joyce.
That one was taken on the shoulder. I think there's some oohs and ahs from the bleachers, but I don't think that one landed flush from Takam. Joyce is trying to walk him down, showing that notorious resilience that he has.
A few feints in between is going to keep Takam reactive, defensive, going to throw his timing off. He's often punching when Joe's punching, trying to get underneath and bowl him over the top.
To punch down Joe Joyce.
Yeah, and funny you mentioned that, John, 'cause he's just switched it up there. He started to lift his jab up from his hip, which will make it harder for Takam to get underneath it and throw over the top.
He just missed with that big right hand there. It's already starting to develop into a very, very interesting contest indeed. Takam is having his moments once more. Joyce trying to show his strength and just walk through Takam. Maybe Takam's work rate just dropping a little bit in this third.
Yeah, and I do think that will happen, but as I say, you don't want to keep taking these shots along the way. Something that worked massively for Joyce, started pinning him while he's bending down there, that's better from Joyce. Something that worked massively for Joyce in the Dubois fight was the unpredictable rhythm of the lead hand, and that seems to have gone out the window right now.
And closing seconds of the third. Joyce has had more success in this third round.
Oh, fantastic shot there from Joyce.
Takam takes it, but Joyce landed the most telling shot of the round in those closing seconds. And let's listen into the corner. Well, interesting listening in there. What do you make of that, Ben?
I wasn't quite sure what he said there.
Well, Joe, I got the impression, didn't totally agree with what was being said to him. And the referee pausing the action, and now we are underway.
Potential turning moment at the end of that last round there, and it's important Joe keeps momentum, doesn't allow Takam to bluff him and get some rest now.
That attack in the last 20 seconds from Joyce, you know, I mean, I didn't think there was a lot in it in the rest of the round, but I think that was the most telling moment, and for that reason, you know, maybe he won that round.
Yeah, it's a potential fight turning moment because I do think Takam's
Whoa! Well, Takam would beg to differ.
Yeah, I do think Takam's very inefficient when he attacks. We saw that with Chisora. He's dangerous when he's attacking, but as I say, inefficient. And that could potentially have been a turning moment for Joe. Joe's just allowing him room to get underneath him there. Step in, tie him up, use your weight, be physical with him.
Giant heavyweights, of course. Have always been big heavyweights, but there have been some tremendous guys who have been 6 foot and thereabouts. You think of Mike Tyson, of course, Evander Holyfield, going back, Rocky Marciano. You don't have to be a huge man to be an effective heavyweight.
No, exactly. As I said before the fight started, that a height disadvantage, using the right tactics, can become an advantage. But Joe shouldn't be allowing Takam to sit on his chest and push him back in that way. Should be getting on top of him, stepping into him, tying him up and being physical with him, using his physical size.
There's a body shot, good right hand from Joyce. Well, he was quoted by the bookies as something like 9-1 on Joe Joyce. He doesn't look like that at the moment, does he?
No, Takam has had a good start to the fight. I do think Joe's engine and durability, toughness and volume will start to play a part, but Joe's definitely taken too many along the way.
Takam with that overhand right once more.
Good body shot from Joe Joyce there.
He felt that Takam buckles forward. Referee telling him to keep his punches up, I think, but I'm not sure there was anything wrong with it.
Another good body shot. He's starting to invest in the body, which is something we saw from Chisora when he fought Takam. Especially when he's exerted a lot of energy, he's going to help drain Takam.
Well, he and his trainers will have studied previous Takam fights long and hard, I'm sure. Takam winding up that big right hand again and again. Joyce trying to show that he's physically the stronger man, but Takam having none of it at this moment. You see why he's been such a crowd pleaser over the years, Takam. He really comes with a will to win. Good round. Carlos Takam has put a huge amount into the early stages of this fight, and he's really blowing there in his corner, Ben.
He is. I believe that there was a turning point at the end of the third there. And Joyce has made a good adjustment, started going to the body. In boxing talk, they call it started stealing air from Takam by going to the body. But Joe does need a little change of height. He can't keep standing tall and allowing Takam to get underneath and throw him over the top.
I think there is very much a question as to whether or not Takam's going to be able to sustain this He's invested an awful lot into the early stages of this fight.
He has, but he'll still be dangerous. He's a big, strong guy, experienced, tough, durable guy.
28 stoppages in his 39 wins.
Fantastic little uppercut inside there from Joe.
Joyce with that long and successful amateur career. So unlucky not to have taken the gold medal in Rio. Unlucky would be one word for it. Some people might use others.
Yeah. Just doesn't want to go away from taking that air out of Takam, go into the body and invest in the body and allow Takam time to rest in between his energy expending attacks.
Takam just taking a little bit of a breather maybe, but there's a big swinging left hand. He laughed at the quotes attributed to Joe saying that he was just going to run him over. And he just responded by saying, I am going to be a big, big test. He's already shown that. Joyce just keeps coming as ever. And there's not been so many big shots from Takam in this round. It's allowing Joyce to settle into a rhythm.
Yeah, Joe's definitely started to break him up here. But as we said, Takam will still be dangerous, as you can see there.
Yeah, it's coming from way back though, and it's now looking more like single shots from Takam.
Yeah, the investment in the bodywork in the fourth round's definitely started to pay its toll here. But Joe has gone away from it slightly. Just still needs to be careful stepping in too hard with that jab, allowing the short guy to get underneath and come over the top. Bit like that. That's why it needs to be unpredictable. You can probe, if you look at Vladimir Klitschko, the jab doesn't always come from a traditional textbook position. It's got less to travel, less time for the opponent to see it. Good uppercut there from Joe. Takam's legs looking very, very heavy now.
Yeah, closing seconds of the fifth, and this has probably been, well, maybe the most emphatic round in Joe Joyce's favour so far. Looks pretty cool and composed. You agree that one was one for Joe Joyce?
Yeah, for sure.
Broughton in the corner there. This is Dwight York. Yard, I beg your pardon. Dwight York, that would be a story. It's Dwight Yard. He's in the corner with Carlos Takam. Sorry, Dwight, if you're watching.
Tell you what, Joe would have been careful. Oh, fantastic left hook from Joe there.
He's going to jump all over him now. He's got him going.
Just needs to be careful still, don't want to burn himself out.
He thinks he can take him here.
Just needs to be careful. Takam can bowl one over.
Takam, has he regrouped? Joyce is gambling a bit here, and Takam's still in there.
He doesn't need to take silly gambles and silly risks. That's better. That's better. A little bit of room to pick his shots. That's much better from Joe.
Joyce trying to put his punches together now, trying to pick his punches, and Takam's taking a lot. Is he about to go? Is he ready to go? Referee Steve Gray.
Well.
Referee Steve Gray watching on very, very closely. And it's all over. It's all over. Joe Joyce gets the win he wants in the sixth round. And when he got him going, my word, he didn't let him off the hook. Great finish.
Brilliant finish from Joe, composed himself halfway through, knew he was being a little bit reckless, composed himself, picked his shots a little bit better. Was it a little bit soon from the referee, someone of Carlos Takam's experience? Not too sure. Was he saving him for another day?
Takam is raging at the referee. He is furious.
It was definitely on the verge of going. I suppose it's individual opinions on that one.
Personal pride, I guess. But Joyce was right on top. And the referee was watching very, very closely. He's the closest guy.
He was, and potentially, I know he's an extremely tough guy, Carlos Takam. Was he on the verge of a few more clean shots, putting him over, putting him out? Does his reputation, if that was somebody else, would we be saying the same thing, or would we say good stoppage?
Well, Joyce going over and sportingly giving a little hug to Carlos Takam. But this is the start of the round, and that's where it all began.
Yeah, brilliant left hook there from Joe. Got a little bit carried away with his attack, but composed himself, showed experience there, composed himself, got back to picking his shots.
Takam right in there then, but now this is where he starts to mount another big attack, and you see the referee watching on very, very closely. And to be fair to Steve Gray, not a lot coming back from Takam there. Furious, instant reaction from Takam. And there'll be plenty who'll say, well, was that too soon? I don't know.
I think if it was somebody else without Carlos Takam's reputation, then you may say good stoppage. Someone with Carlos Takam's reputation, did he deserve a little bit of a longer go? Has he been saved for another day? Like I say, it's probably open to individual opinion.
Well, Joyce certainly gets the spectacular win that he wanted. He wanted to make a bit of a statement. Do you believe he has?
I think, broken down on paper, he's got Carlos Takam out of there quicker than the rest of the guys. I will say, be honest, it was a bit of a shaky start. Was that due to an element of complacency, maybe? Was it a stylistic thing? However, we did say that early on Carlos Takam wouldn't be able to maintain that pace.
Well, there were signs, weren't there? I think we picked it out first time in the fourth round that he was clearly not able to maintain the work rate of the first two.
Yeah, there was a turning point at the end of the third, and if Takam wasn't stopped there, we know that Joyce could keep that pace all night. So I think the fight had already made taken its turn.
Well, I'm normally a big supporter of referees because they're the closest to it. And the bottom line is that this is a sport, and nobody wants to see a fighter carried out. And the way Joyce was unloading on Takam, you were beginning to worry.
Yeah, for sure. I actually think I did say the referee should be having a look here. As I say, the fight had taken his turn. That fight was only going one way from there on. Would Carlos Takam have seen the round out? It's just more punishment. Someone of that age, is it necessary? I'm not too sure.
Well, there are the thoughts of Ben Davison watching with me at ringside tonight. Our main event over, and this is how it ended. Here's Thomas Treiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the official time. 49 seconds of round number 6. Our referee in charge, Steve Gray, stops the contest. Therefore, your winner, and still WBO International, WBC Silver, heavyweight champion, Joe, the Juggernaut, Joyce.
The Juggernaut rumbles on. Win number 13 for Joe Joyce.